Hi, I'm Brian Pierce, and I'm a middle school social studies teacher. As a current practicing teacher, I am engaged with the changing trends of education to adapt with the 21st century. 21st century learning is different from learning in the past. There are new approaches and aspects that are changing education as we know it. It is an exciting time to be an educator as trends are moving towards increasing student understanding of material in more advanced ways. 4 aspects of 21st century learning that are widely agreed upon are critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. These are known as the 4 C's of 21st century learning. Critical thinking is the ability to think and question at a higher level. Students in 21st century classrooms are encouraged to do this throughout their schooling experience. This means engaging with the world around them both in and outside of the classroom and thinking deeply about problems they are faced with. Students are encouraged to ask questions and discover for themselves the answers to questions that they are asking. Examples of this include shifts towards inquiry-based learning and project-based learning. Creativity is thinking outside of the box and in different ways. In a classroom, this means being encouraged to show mastery of learning in different ways than a traditional test. Students who think and learn differently than the traditional student are embraced in a 21st century classroom and are encouraged to show their learning in different ways. Examples of this include cross-discipline units that include subjects like music and art. Collaboration is students working together with their peers and with their instructor to work towards a common goal. This includes group work, civic engagement projects, and using technology to collaborate. Finally, communication is the ability to convey thoughts in a way that other people will understand. This is an important skill in the 21st century as the way we communicate has evolved to various ways, such as email, text messages, phone calls, and videos. Students are encouraged to use multiple modes of communication to convey their learning and learn how to do so in a way for others to understand. Examples of this are incorporating digital citizenship into curriculum and using multiple modes of communication within a school day. One example of 21st century learning in my classroom is collaboration. My students collaborate with one another on an almost daily basis. This allows my students to learn skills of working on a team towards a common goal, as well as it also allows them to engage with the curriculum in a deeper way than if they were doing it on their own. In this example, my students are working together using a variety of primary and secondary sources to participate in an escape room tied to the content area we are studying. Students needed to work together to understand the text to find the next clue and ultimately escape. Another example of 21st century learning in my classroom is my adoption of inquiry-based learning. Over the past year, I've transformed my U.S. history curriculum into inquiry-based learning to engage my students in a way that is different than the social studies curriculum has been approached in the past. Students are posed with a question that they spend a period of time investigating. This also pulls in collaboration and communication as students often work together towards answering the question. In this example, my students learned about the Trail of Tears through an inquiry-based experience in which they all participated in a mock trial centered around the historical question, did Andrew Jackson violate the Constitution when he had the Native Americans removed from their land? Students collaborated and communicated in various ways from the trial prep days to the trial itself and jury deliberation. As I grow into the teaching profession, I wanted to continue to make my teaching practice align with 21st century learning. One way to do that is to incorporate technology in a meaningful way. This means using the TPACK framework to combine technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge into my lessons and technology integration into my curriculum. In order to do this, I would like to create a checklist when planning lessons that prompts me to think about how I will use these various pieces of technology to support and aid student learning outcomes. Also, to improve the role of creativity in my classroom, I want to give my students more opportunity to show their understanding of material in different ways. Instead of always relying on multiple choice tests to show me whether a student has learned something, I would like to allow my students to have more choice and voice to be creative in their showing of mastery of content. I would like to do this by creating assessment choices that give students the opportunity to show their learning in different ways. I believe that this can show me if a student truly understands something rather than just learned it, as learning is very surface level, and for a student to understand, they must have gone through a conceptual change that leads to a deeper understanding of the material. I will apply what I have learned from CEP 810 course readings on understanding and conceptual change and apply it towards my assessment choices in the next few years.